Welcome. You're listening to the GrowOrtho Podcast presented by Hip Creative. This podcast is dedicated to those who want to stand strong in their market and be leaders in their community. Now onto the show with your host, Luke Infinger.
Hey, this is Luke, CEO and co-founder at HIP. And this episode's a little bit different. Harrison and I were able to put on a training with the Fishbein Orthodontics Patient Care Center team, the scheduling team. And so we were also able to record this session, and obviously we want to share it with you guys. We know that it's going to be super beneficial. There's a lot of critical information in here on sales, what it is, best practices, little tips and tricks on the phone for your scheduling team on how to move the prospective patient to the next step in the best way and get them scheduled and into the practice. So take a listen, share this information with your team, and have a great day.
We've been working with the Fishbein team almost 6 years at this point.
Yeah.
6 years?
Yeah, 2015.
Yeah, so we started working with the Fishbein team when there was just like one main office, 2 satellites, and Dr. Ben was the only doctor. So we've been in y'all's team for a little while, to say the least. So it's good to meet you guys. But we wanted to do this because, we work with orthodontists all over the country. We do lots of marketing for people, but what Luke and I have really been focusing on is like the educational side of like, how do we actually convert these leads into patients? Because not everybody's as awesome as Fishbein and converts at a really high level. But we were talking, and I was talking with Alex, and I was like, your guys are all so good, and the systems are so good. We've never really got to do any training with you guys. So we kind of bounced the idea off Alex, and she's like, I think this would be fun. So that's really what we got going on today, and appreciate you guys taking some time out of Friday. So we'll kind of just dive on in. Agenda for the day. I love to start with a good quote. As you guys get to know me, I nerd out on good books and inspirational quotes. So always like to start off with a good quote just to kind of set the frame for the day and get everybody into a good mindset. Kind of talk about some goals on what we're hoping to accomplish for today. Get into some coaching and then open it up for a Q&A because I think we're going to probably go through a lot of information. So please jot any notes, thoughts, ideas, concerns, frustrations, anything down, and we'll kind of open it up at the end. And then, of course, Chick-fil-A. So as far as the goals for today, first and foremost is how can we schedule and convert even more digital leads? And I put that underlined very specifically because 90% of the conversations Luke and I have are how do we convert some digital leads. You guys obviously already convert a ton of them, but there's always room for improvement. So how do we convert even more of them? I hope that you guys can walk out of here with some, call them tools in your tool belt that you can use as you're making calls, following up with leads. I want to hopefully help you guys develop a winning mindset and philosophy on what sales and customer service really means, whether you guys know it or not. You're in sales. And so I think that you'll probably hear me say a few times through this presentation that your mindset and your philosophy is 80% of the equation. The tactics are only 20%. The tactics are answering phone calls and following up with leads. Tactically, it's pretty simple, right? But how do we think about that? How do we handle situations? How do we handle the maybe negative Nancy on the other line of the phone? And I think if we have a good winning philosophy and mindset, it can get us through the day even better. Obviously, help Dr. Ben keep growing the practice, but also for you guys, help you guys hit more bonuses and incentives. I know Alex always is putting different bonuses or incentives or goals that we can all reach. So hopefully some of the tools we can give you guys today will help you guys achieve more and reach more bonuses. I'm all about time, so hopefully we can give you guys some things with your tools in your tool belt to save time throughout the day, and obviously eat Chick-fil-A. So to kick things off, like I said, I love a good quote. This comes from the great Jim Rohn. If you guys don't know who Jim Rohn is, I think he's one of the greatest speakers ever to walk the earth. Rest in peace, Jim Rohn. He passed a few years ago. If you guys don't know who Jim Rohn is, maybe you've heard of Tony Robbins or Anthony Robbins. He was actually Tony's first mentor back in the day. So I think he's one of the greatest speakers ever. And to kind of set a good frame for the day, what Jim says is he says, don't wish that things were easier, just wish that you were better. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills, and don't wish for less challenge, just wish for more wisdom. So hopefully that sets things off on a good frame. I have a video link here that I can send you all because I can't repeat things as well as Jim Rohn does, but there's like a little 10-minute video I can share with you guys if you want to dive into a little personal development on your own time or something like that, maybe play it in the call center. Yeah, love Jim. I think once you listen to him, I think you'll be addicted to his speaking because I surely am. So hopefully that sets things off good. You guys like it? Feel good? Sweet. Cool. So what I want to kick things off with is for you all in this room. Maybe you know it, maybe you don't, but really own the role that you're in. You know, it's fundamentals and other orthodontic events. Everybody's always talking about the doctors and the TCs and starting patients, and that's all great and dandy, and it is important, but I truly believe that everybody in this room has the most important role at the practice. Sorry, Britt. Sorry, Dr. Ben. Right? Everybody's talking about goals and productions and new patient starts and conversion rates, and those are important things, but really take it to heart that you guys in this room, you drive and dictate the growth of the practice beyond anybody else, right? Dr. Ben doesn't have any patients to see if you can't get him in the door, right? Brittany doesn't have any operations to deal with if we don't have patients in the practice. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys. So hopefully you can really take that to heart, and you can even tell Dr. Ben that I told you so, that I think you have the most important role at this practice. And to kind of set the frame for you guys, like what I do at HIP or what I've done at HIP is I was kind of like the scheduling TC combined at HIP, if that makes sense. Like I fielded all of our leads and inquiries. We've got a couple people helping me now, but I fielded the leads, ran the consults, and got contracts signed. And, you know, I love Luke, but it's like, hey man, can't pay the people if if we ain't signing contracts, right? So I hope you guys can really take that to heart and own that. So what we're going to start with is how do we convert more digital leads? So I don't know if you guys know this or not, but we actually run secret shop reports on all of our practices. I'm getting some head nods, cool. So if you don't know where those secret shops come from, that's from us. And the reason we do this is just to measure what's going on in that new patient process, right? Generating leads is important, but leads aren't starts, right? Leads are opportunities for starts. And so we're going to get into some information here. But what I wanted to share here is as far as the 110 practices that we work with across the country, you guys have some of the best report cards I've ever seen. Don't focus on the number. I know everybody wants 100%. It's nearly impossible to get 100%. When I see too many 100%s, I start questioning things like they might have figured this out. It's a robot. It only knows what we tell it to know. So on March 9th, we requested the exam at 12 p.m. Central Time. You guys called us in 3 minutes, which is awesome. And then we got a follow-up call the next business day. It's textbook. On March 16th, my birthday, no big deal. We requested the exam at 1 p.m. Central Time. And again, we got a phone call in 3 minutes, which is awesome. And then we got another phone call the next business day. So this is great. On March 23rd, we requested the exam at 12:35 Central Time. We got a call 30 minutes later there, and then again the next business day. Now, nobody can be 100% every single time, but consistency is the key to the kingdom. Now, out of the 100 or so practices that we work with, I think I can only think of 2 who consistently are calling people in under 5 minutes. So this is great, but I wanted to share this information. And the reason I wanted to share this information is to get into a little bit of information here on why we do these secret shop report cards, why we track the metrics the way we do, why you guys have the 5-minute rule. There's really some science behind this. We're not just pulling numbers out of the sky because it sounds good. So when it comes to Facebook, Instagram, really any lead in general, how much time do we actually have before a lead goes cold? So there's a study that was done by the Harvard Business Review. I'm sure you guys have heard of Harvard, relatively intellectual folks over there. And this study from the Harvard Business Review took a batch of 10,000 form submission leads from the internet. So a form submission lead, obviously a little bit different than an inbound phone call. I'm sure we all love the inbound phone calls. Hello, I love you guys already. When can I come in and start? We love those. But what about those people that just fill out a form and we got to chase them down, right? That's still opportunity. Their behavior is just a little bit different, right? Maybe they're in the middle of lunch or taking a potty break at work and, just quickly doing something, right? It's not that they're not. I think I can share this with you guys. I can't share this with all of our offices, but I think we're all friends now. We have an office. I won't name their name. He's in Austin, Texas, if you can pick up what I'm putting down. And what he trains his team on is he said, the reason we have to call people so quickly is because I don't let you guys use your cell phones at the office, right? And his team's like, yeah, I don't use my cell phone. He's like, when's the only time of the day you're using your cell phone? So when you're taking maybe a little potty break at work, he's like, so our goal here at our office is we got to call them before they wash their hands. So, and it's funny, but I think there's something to that, right? So getting into this, from 10,000 form submissions, filled out the form, raised my hand, said I want an appointment, said I want to come in, but I didn't just pick up the phone and call you. After 10,000 inquiries, what this review found is that if you don't follow up with a digital lead within 5 minutes, the difference between a 5-minute initial touch point and 10-minute initial touch point decreases the odds of ever getting in contact with that person by 400%. Right? So what does that mean to you? Well, think about it in your shoes for a moment. Like, what if everybody lost 400% of their paycheck today? Would anybody be pumped about that? It's not nice, right? And so that's how I think we have to think about that, is like, man, what if that was like my paycheck? 400%? We wouldn't have Chick-fil-A today if HIP was down 400%, right? So it's pretty drastic when you really bring it to the attention. And I think that's why Alex has the parameters set, and that's why we set the Secret Shop report cards in the way that we do, just to measure that and hold everybody accountable. So as important as speed is, I think just as important, if not more important, is this idea of persistence. I like to use the word nurture. You got to plant your seeds and water them and give them sunlight. Maybe they're not ready to sprout right now, but they're going to go somewhere, right? And if they're going to go somewhere, we'd probably like them to come to Fishbein, right? And so just because I request and don't answer your call or request or don't answer your text, it doesn't mean I'm not interested. Maybe I finished my potty break and I'm back at work. Maybe I'm taking the kids to soccer. Maybe I'm making dinner. You get the point, right? Everybody's busy. We're all multitasking. So the study says that if you don't follow up with a lead at least 6 times, you lose another 70% likelihood of ever getting them in. I don't know about you guys. I don't typically answer phone calls that come in from a number that's not saved on my phone, right? So if we know that most people aren't doing that, and our mindset is that, oh, well, I called Alex, she didn't pick up the phone, therefore that's a bad lead. That's not a philosophy that's going to set us up to reach our goals, grow the practice, etc., right? So persistence is important. So getting to people in 5 minutes versus 10 minutes, drastic drop off. But we started doing some looking and we're like, 5 minutes is good, but I want you guys to really think about like requesting something on your phone and just staring at your phone for 5 minutes without doing anything else, without going back to Instagram. That's a long time, right? Like when we talk high level, it feels like pretty quick, but if I opt into something on my phone, like I'm on to the next thing, I'm back to Instagram. Or perfect example, I was out traveling. Luke called me. I was in the middle of a meeting. I think I called him back like 10 minutes later. And guess what? He didn't pick up the phone because he was on to the next thing, right? So we started thinking, well, as good as 5 minutes is, like, what would happen if we could call people in a minute, in 60 seconds? What could happen there? And so we did some looking and we came across this another survey, another study that was done by this company called Velocify. And it says that lead conversions are 391% higher if you can actually call them in a minute or less of an online inquiry. Imagine requesting some information and before you even close out Facebook, your phone's ringing. for better or for worse, I think this is why Smile Direct Club has done so well. And we don't want people going to Smile Direct Club because their teeth might fall out of their mouth. But this is why they've done so well, right? Is like, if you ever see an ad, just go opt into one of their things and see what happens. It's instant. And people got their freaking kit in the mail before you can even think about calling another orthodontist, right?
And to go into that just a little bit more, like even after the first 30 seconds, we have like a graph that sometimes we break down that shows like second by second or minute by minute. Like after 30 seconds, the odds fall off, or the percentage falls off, like it's cut in half after 30 seconds. And so the best sales teams are creating some type of process to contact someone within a minute. Because also like a call from an unknown number, if you get a call in like 15 seconds after you opted in,
you know it's them.
Yeah, like, has anybody heard of Event? It's an alarm. So if you guys are homeowners or soon to be homeowners, you'll probably hear about them. But I opted in on a Sunday at like 1 p.m. Literally 15 seconds later, my phone's ringing. And I'm like, oh, this must be them. This is crazy. And I answered the phone. But Harrison will kind of get into this and break down a little bit what you can do when someone doesn't answer, because a lot of people won't. And that's why you guys have Rhinogram, whether it's Rhinogram or Practice Beacon, whatever.
Bless you.
Texting the person back, and he'll share some tips with that, because then if you have an instant phone call, you didn't pick up, you have a voicemail, you also have a text message, hey, that was me, and then I call again in 2 hours, you're probably going to pick up because you know actually who's calling. 92% of all customer interactions or like getting to the sales process, 92% start on the phone in pretty much all industry. That's huge to remember, the human to human aspect over the phone. If you can get someone on the phone, you're probably going to get them scheduled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good. So always just kind of put yourself in the people's shoes, right? Like if you requested something on the internet, like what are the chances you're waiting around for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes? 0 to slim, right? But how blown away are you when you get a call in 15 seconds? You're like, whoa. Yes, I'm ready to do this now, you know? So we'll get into some more tactical stuff, but as far as where we're moving, does this feel good so far? Make sense? I'm getting a lot of head nods, so that's good. Cool. So getting into more of the nurture, the persistence, the follow-up. You know, Luke and I, we have meetings like this and preach this stuff till we're blue in the face, just like doctors preach to wear your Invisalign 22 hours until you're blue in the face. But even to today, the reality is that only 44% of the leads that we generate for our clients will ever be called or followed up more than once, no matter how many times we go through this stuff. But the reality of the situation is that 93% of conversions happen over here, not over here. You know, and so you guys have a really good process for the most part of getting to people quickly. What would happen if those people that didn't answer or didn't text you back, we called them not just the next day, but the next day and the next day? And my process is I don't give up until somebody says I don't have any teeth or I got braces on somewhere else. You know, now we prioritize that day, right? New leads come first, existing patients, great customer service. But in between that time, how much more could we get scheduled going to day 3 and day 4 and once a week from that point on? And so for this, I think some of these things that we're talking about, like I said, it's just a mindset and a philosophy. Like tactically, who can call somebody in a minute or 5 minutes? Anybody can do that. We're not sending a man to the moon here, right? Like how many people or who can call somebody 5-6 times? Anybody can do that. Like I can't put braces on people. That's pretty hard. But like I'm in my office. I can call people all day long. But it's all about how we think about that. And if our philosophy or our mindset is, oh, I called Johnny, he didn't answer, therefore he's not serious. That's not a philosophy that's going to set us up to win. If the mindset is, I called Dr. Ben, he didn't answer, he's probably in the clinic seeing patients. I'll try again in a couple hours. That's a philosophy that's probably going to set us up to grow, right? And so there's this really smart man, you may have heard of him, His name's Albert Einstein. He says that we cannot solve problems with the same level of thinking that we used when we created them. So now we get into my favorite stuff, and that's the philosophy and what does it mean to actually be doing sales, selling people, closing people. Like I said, when we kicked this off, everybody in this room, same with Brittany, we're all in sales, whether you know it or not, like it or not, own it. And hopefully we can get into some good stuff here. So what I want to open this up to you guys, is typically when I ask people about sales and selling and being a salesperson, it's like this taboo word and like people shy away from it. I could never be a salesperson. I can't stand salespeople. It's like this icky taboo thing. And my thought is just because people don't actually know what it means to sell people or to close people or what sales actually means. So I want to open it up to you guys. When you think about selling people or closing people or salespeople, what comes to mind? Say it. Fitting their needs. I like that. Anybody else? Anybody else?
Anybody thinking like used car sales?
That's where my head goes.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of people's hairs go, right? Used car salesman, slick talking, pushy, manipulative, persuasive, right?
Sus.
Leave that interaction going, ooh, that didn't feel good. That guy just took me for one, you know? And I think that's where a lot of people's heads go. And so to me, I think the reason people think that way is over the past decade or so, we've just had some really, really bad salespeople. And that's why people think that way. And so I've been doing sales pretty much my entire career. I'm 29. I've been doing this stuff for 10 years. So pretty much as long as I can remember. But a concept that I learned a long time ago that totally changed my perception on one, what is sales, and two, what am I actually doing for people, was when I learned the root of the word sell or sales. And so the root word of sell or sales is actually an Old English word, and it's called sellar, S-E-L-L-A-R. And this totally changed my perception 180 degrees. So when we've talked about all these things, sketchy, persuasive, pushy, the frame around that is that it's somebody trying to take something from somebody else. I'm trying to take your money so I can make money. But the root word sellar, what the definition of sellar is, actually means to give. That's what the root word means. And so when we really start breaking that down, peeling back some layers of the onion, if you're coming from a place of service and wanting to help people and integrity and honesty, which I feel like everybody in this room is, I believe that selling somebody is one of the best things you can do for somebody if it's in their best interest and it's something that they need or it's going to improve their life. So when we're selling somebody, whether it's you guys in the care center, taking calls, following up with leads, getting them scheduled, whether it's TCs, getting somebody started on a signed contract, whether it's us talking to doctors to sell them into hip, what are we giving these people, right? It means to give. What are we giving? Well, beyond anything else, I think we're giving them our time, right? We're giving people time. We're giving people information. We're giving people knowledge. We're giving people value. We're giving people perspective. We're giving people wisdom. And I think most importantly, we're giving people empathy if you're operating in a good place. And empathy, being able to enter their world and where they at, what's going on in their day and what's going on in their life. That's what we're giving people. So hopefully gives you guys a good perspective on what it really means on what you guys are doing on a day-to-day, right?
And straight teeth.
Yeah.
And straight teeth. And that takes me to my next slide. So I think, I like to keep things simple. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I'm good at a few things. And I like to keep things simple. And so when I boil down what is sales, it's really just two things. It's really just helping people go from where they are right now to where they want to be. That's it. And how do we do that? We give them time and knowledge and wisdom and value and information and empathy to help build a bridge from where they are to where they want to be. That's it. I got crooked teeth. I want straight teeth. You guys are the first step to build that bridge. That's it, right? And so when we're helping build that bridge, there's obviously going to be people that are a great fit for what we do. And once in a while, there's going to be people that aren't a great fit for what we do. And I think that's the difference between selling people with integrity and helping them and giving to them versus that notion of a pushy, convincing, slick talking kind of sales guy. And so I put these two words up here because sometimes I notice that people kind of get the same vibe from influence and persuasion, but I think these are two totally different realms. I think that persuasion is that taboo word that we think of. I'm going to persuade you to do something, even if it's not in your best interest, it's in my best interest because I can hit the bonus, because I can make the check. But influence, I think, is a good deed for somebody because in this world, there's things that people need, but they don't necessarily want them right now. Johnny may have some jacked up teeth and he really needs braces, and mom knows he needs braces and the dentist knows he needs braces, but man, Johnny just doesn't want them right now, you know? Or mom wants to get Johnny in and she's busy and I know I got to do this and I just don't have the time, but she really needs to come in. Well, that's where influence comes in, right? And how do we influence? We give people time and knowledge and wisdom and empathy and value, etc., to influence them to make a decision. And if it's something that somebody truly needs, I believe that influencing them to do that, even if you have to push a little bit, it's one of the best gifts you can give somebody. You know, we can talk on the phone for an hour long and answer questions about brackets and Invisalign and orthodontics and blah, blah, blah. You can talk as many hours as you want to, but the reality is if you guys can't close them, we can't help them, right? You can't help them. You know, I've had calls for, good grief, 3 hours with some of these doctors just going round and round and round. And it's like, I'll talk to you all day long, but like, dude, if we can't move forward, none of this great stuff that we're talking about comes to fruition. And it's the same thing for you guys. I'm sure you've had a few of those, Karens, right? You know, Karens, they've got 18,000 questions on the phone. And it's like, then they no-show. Well, is that frustrating? Is it annoying? Yeah. But based on what she said is going on with Johnny or her Sally or kid or them, whatever, you know, if we can't follow up and get them back in and get them committed, we never get the ability to help them, you know, and hopefully that gives you a good frame of mind to come from. But just remember that everybody in this world has fear of some sort. It could be fear of a commitment. It could be fear of finances. It could be fear of taking time off work. It could be fear of, I've never been to an orthodontist. The list goes on and on. But that's where empathy comes into place. And if we just remind ourselves that everybody's got a little bit of fear, it's normal, I think we can help people at a high level. I have doctors sometimes tell me, they say, oh man, I'm just really scared to sign up. That just feels like a lot of money. And I tell them, congratulations, man. If you weren't a little nervous to make a big decision, truthfully, I'd be a little concerned. If you weren't a little scared to do something a little different or do something you've never done before, and that applies to orthodontics, if you weren't a little scared of that, I might want to send an ambulance over your way, still make sure you got a pulse, right? And so just remembering that, and if people are nervous or fearful or scared or hesitant, totally understand. Congratulations, you're normal. That's all. So this is one of my favorite things to talk about. I hope you guys get some value out of this. This is a concept or a frame of mind that I learned many, many years ago. Even if I'm having a slow week or a slow month, this is something I always come back to. So maybe you guys can relate. We have weeks where we're killing it, and then we have weeks where it's just like, oh, I don't know why I struck out. These people didn't schedule with me or something like that, right? We all have ebbs and flows. That's a normal part of business, but maybe you guys have uttered to yourself in a week like, oh man, I don't know what's going on with these patients. The patients this week are they're funky. These are some bad leads this week. Yeah, it's got to be the moon. It's got to be whatever. The patients last week, gosh, they were amazing. But the patients this week, they're just not serious about getting treatment. And I've said it too, man, the doctors this week are just off the wall. But man, last week, they were awesome. And it's like, how different can they really be? There is ebb and flow, but this is something to remind yourself. So when somebody reaches out to you to request an appointment, gives you a phone call, fills out a form on your website, the truth of that matter, no matter how resistant they are, no matter how many times they miss your call, no matter how many times you text them, the truth of the matter is that individual took their time to do that action, not you. Would you guys agree? Like you didn't go to their house, grab their hand, make it type on the keyboard to request an appointment, right?
So we hear some phone call recordings where people like claim these things like, I didn't do that. Alex, your name is Alex? Yeah.
This is your number. Okay, you put it in the system.
Yeah. And I'll say that on the phone, like, oh, is this not Dr. Bob? No, this is Dr. Bob. I'm like, oh, well,
crazy.
Says here at 11 p.m. last night, you did request an appointment, But I always just come back to the truth, and we're going to kind of tie this all together. I'm going to give you guys some concepts, but then I'm also going to give you some sound bites to put it all together. But just remind yourself, doesn't matter how resistant they are, how many times they missed your call, what they say on the phone. Remember, everybody's fearful, right? But the truth is that they took their time to do that, not you. Now, here's the facts. The facts is there is a reason that somebody would do that. Now, maybe once in a while, they had a few too many one night and they were just scrolling around on the couch and wanted to click something because Dr. Ben looks handsome in the photo or something like that. That's still a reason. But 9 times out of 10, the facts is that they want something. What do they want? They want, I think if we boil it down, all people want is they want some sort of change. They want to change in how they feel. They want to change in how they look. They want to change in status. They want to change in emotions. They want to change in how people look at them. But if we boil it down, the reason somebody would take their time to request an appointment, call us, fill out a form, is because they want some sort of change, right? And to tie it all together, the point to drive home is the reality. And the reality is that every single person in this world is guarded. Guarded does not mean not interested. Guarded just means guarded. Why are people guarded? If you remember on the last slide, people are fearful. So what could people be fearful of, or what could people be guarded against? Most of the time it's getting a phone call from somebody that's not saved in your phone. Oh, is this somebody looking to help me, or is that one of those your car warranty? Your car warranty's expiring? Is this AT&T, right? Like people are guarded,
How much is this going to cost?
Right? People are guarded against money. Oh God, here we go. How much is this going to cost me? You got to remind yourself, no matter what's going on the end of the phone, the truth is that person took their time to reach out. The fact is there's a reason they did that, and the reality is that everybody's guarded, and that's okay. And that's why we give them time and empathy and wisdom and enter their world to figure out how can we lower their guard. All right? Does this make sense? So I'm sure it's probably a little bit different for you guys answering inbound phone calls. These people probably have a little bit better attitude on the phone, like, oh, hey, thanks for picking up my call. I'd love to come in. But then when you make an outbound call, they're like, hello?
Yeah.
Fishbein?
Fishbein.
Orthodontics, right? It's different. Remind yourself every time, 9 times out of 10, it's just a guard. It's a safety measure. Every time we call a doctor, they don't answer the phone and go, hey, this is Dr. Ben, how you doing today? From some random phone number, they're like, hello? It's like, yeah. Say, hey, this is Harrison from Hip Creative. Hip? Yeah, and it's still like, okay, like, how can I help you? I'm like, well, roughly 2 seconds ago, you requested an appointment from us, so I was just following up to try and help you. And typically when you talk in a good tone, which is what we're going to get through now, you can help lower people's guard. And so that's what I want to talk about now, is knowing that most people are guarded. Most people aren't going to answer your inbound or your outbound calls peppy, excited, looking to talk to you. What tools can we put in our tool belt to get through that person who seems confused, or who are you, or who's Fishbein, or something like this? What can we do? So first and foremost is what I call soft language. And I'm going to give you some examples of that. If there was anything that you guys maybe want to take a picture of, and I also have a resource document that I can send you, but soft language. Some things that I call connecting phrases. And I think most importantly is your tonality and your tempo when you speak. When I'm training anybody, the first thing I'm listening to is their tempo and their tone. You guys probably feel different when I'm talking to you like this and we're just all hanging out, versus if I was like standing up here talking like this with my hands at this kind of tempo and this kind of tone. It probably feels totally different than when we're just kind of talking like this, right? It evokes a totally different emotion. So when you're calling those people who are guarded or confused, in some respects, you got to kind of match their energy on the phone, matching and mirroring, right? If somebody answers like super excited, I'll be like, oh, hey man, like happy Friday, how you doing? If they're like, who's this? I'll be like, oh, it's just Harrison, you know? But tone and tempo, I'm a big believer that two people can say the same exact thing and get a totally different result. What's the difference? It's your tempo and it's your tone, you know? So getting into some things, these are my favorite words. If there was something maybe to take a picture of, write down, I have this all in a document that I'm going to send to you, but these are some of my favorite words to use. The first word is might, maybe, possibly, appropriate, convenient. These are my favorite words, and I promise we're going to tie it all together into some little sound bites that you can use. But, you know, you probably feel a difference when it's like, yeah, and we can actually get you started that same day, versus we could probably get you started that same day if that might possibly be convenient for you, right? We're leading them to the same place, but one feels very soft and balls in your court versus like hypey, pushy sales, right? Yeah. Right? There's an old saying that says people hate to be sold, but good grief do they love to buy. And so when we use soft words, it positions it to where the ball's in your court and you're now in a place where you get to buy versus somebody selling you, right? So might and maybe and possibly and appropriate and convenient. And some of the ones Luke and I also love are totally understand. No matter what they say, totally understand. Not a problem. Totally understand. How's Monday at 2 p.m.? Totally understand.
Could maybe tomorrow at 9 work.
Right? You see how we can tie these? Totally understand. I could possibly save you some time if you wanted to do this, if that might be convenient for you.
Us scheduling this meeting.
Right? Right? Totally understand. I get the most insane objections that you guys can ever imagine on the face of the earth. I never understand, but I always say, yeah, but I always say, totally understand, not a problem. How could I possibly make this easier for you, right? And the good old, how's that sound? How does that sound to you? How's that sound? Could that possibly save you some time? Could that possibly be maybe appropriate for you?
That's a really good one for like pricing. When you guys probably hear that all the time. Well, how much is it? Mm-hmm. And I know you guys are trained not to say usually the big number, but on average, you know, we do have to see you, but on average, it could start as low as $149 a month. How's that sound to you? Oh yeah, that sounds great. You know,
is that something that might possibly fit into the budget? Right? Like Luke said this that I've never even noticed, but he's like, Harrison, you're so good at like almost playing dumb, you know? Right?
Good to be dumb.
He knows exactly what he's doing.
Right? But you see it's like very soft and like almost aloof, but you know, but there's strategy behind it. And if there's anything to take back, and you guys probably love it too, people love convenience and they love hearing convenient and they love when people make things convenient, right? And so I probably say convenient, appropriate, might and maybe somewhere between 400 and 600 times a day.
And people want to feel like they're the ones making the decision.
That's
Like I hate it when people like try and make the decision for me.
Yep.
But when they lead me and let me choose, they're just I'm moving to the destination, even though I feel like I have choices. You know?
People hate to be sold, but they love to buy. We're leading them to a place where they feel like the ball's in their court. I think where these things fit in well to what you guys do is when you're trial closing the new patient or the same day start, and when you're talking about pricing, because those are when people are going to be the most guarded, right? Money and time to give me money, right? So hopefully this helps. Like I said, we'll put this all together. Connecting phrases. When I go through this slide, it's probably not going to make sense. Maybe it will, possibly might feel appropriate. But once we put it all together, I think it will. And so connecting phrases, for me, the way I explain this is how do we take information and turn it into something impactful that drives a decision. Just giving people information doesn't really get people to take action. Just telling them about stuff doesn't really drive decision. But when you can take information and connect it to how it impacts them, or take information and connect it to how it makes things convenient for me or saves me time, etc., that's what starts pushing decisions. So the connecting phrases are so that you can, in order to, which will allow you to, which means to you, without having to come back for another appointment, so that you can not have to take any more time off work, which will allow you to get started the same day. You guys picking up what I'm putting down here? So I want to ask you guys, buying anything. Buying is scheduling an appointment. That is a buying decision. So scheduling an appointment, starting treatment, buying a car, Chick-fil-A delivery, anything. What is the number one reason why people buy? I want to hear from everybody. What do you think makes people want to say, yes, give me that appointment. Yes, get me into braces. What do you guys think?
I think it's because we said, like, we made that connection with them where they trust us. So,
Trust?
yeah.
Cool. Like it. There's no wrong answers here.
The want.
The desire?
I need it.
Desire? Like it. Anybody else? There's no right or wrong answers. I'm going to boil this down so stupidly simple, but just anybody else? Ready? It's one word. Time. It's the number one reason why people buy anything. Why did we spend the extra however much we did to get Chick-fil-A delivered instead of go pick it up when it's right down the road? Save time. Why would somebody go spend $15, $16, $20 on a salad during the day for lunch when you could go to the store and buy lettuce, cucumbers, tomatoes for 69 cents? Right? Why do people appreciate, when it's framed in their best interest, same day starts? Right? Why would a doctor pay HIP whatever they pay us to run their ads and build a website? Could they go read Websites for Dummies and look at how to make Facebook ads on YouTube? Could they? Why are they going to do that? That's actually, I forgot about that. That's a perfect example. Dr. Ben tried and finally said, my time is worth more than X, right? So tattoo this anywhere you can, time. One of my old mentors back in the day, he made a series of hats and sweatshirts, and it just said time. And he sent me them, and it's just been something that stuck with me. This guy's kind of off the rails crazy, but I love him. And like, he's got a forearm tattoo, and it's just a big clock. And this dude has sold tens of millions of dollars of stuff over the telephone. never in person. And that's why I say that any way you can position your calls, what you do, what you say, what you're doing for somebody, why somebody would want to do that, how can we position every part of the conversation around saving them time? Why do we want to save people time? Well, time is more valuable than money. Can we make money back? You spend $1,000 today. Can you make $1,000 back? Is that a physical possibility in the realm of this planet? Yeah. Can you get 5 years of time back? Nope. It's my last year in my 20s this year. Can't get that back, you know? And so most people don't really think about this at a conscious level, but at a subconscious level, people know this, right? And so when we can subtly remind them what we're doing, what we're offering them, how we can help them, and frame it around time and saving time and making it less time, people start saying yes a whole lot quicker. We all have the same amount of time. You guys can't get more time. I think Jim Rohn said, somebody once told me, Jim, I'm going to go try and get some more time. And he said, well, I might have to call the loony bin because there is no more time in the world. We all have the same amount. I guess I kind of already talked about this bullet point, but every conversation, whether it's positioning the same day start, whether it's same day appointments, we can get you in today, right? Or what's your soonest available? Well, why do we have the 72-hour rule? Whether it's been consciously thought about, the reason these things are so powerful and why Fishbein has grown at such a crazy level is the whole process has been built to be convenient for people, which means to save them time, right? So hopefully some of these things can save you guys some time when you're talking in circles with, Karen on the phone, she can't make a decision. Maybe we can use some of these tools in the tool belt to just get the appointment on the calendar. So putting it all together, what we're going to focus on here is obviously outbound calls. Inbound calls are awesome. They're fun. Nothing's easy, but it's easier than picking up the phone and calling somebody. So when we do pick up the phone and call somebody, as we know, most people are guarded, don't answer with excitement. And has anybody ever been hung up on before? Everybody, right? It's awesome, it's hilarious. It's like, oh, there's one of those.
Harrison calls him back and goes, I think we got
I totally understand.
Every single time I call them back, and if they don't answer, I send them a text as well. Hey, man.
Must have shut off. What happened?
Guys, have fun with that. Like, that's my comedic relief during the day. When somebody's like, no, this isn't Dr. Bob. I'm like, oh, well, it says Dr. Bob at drboborthodontics.com. Like I'll have
address 1406.
Do you drive a black Mercedes? When somebody hangs up on you, like, dude, just
Game on.
Game on. Call them back. Play stupid. I think we got disconnected. Phone service these days has been crazy. Totally understand. Send them a text. But when we do get somebody on the phone and we know that people are guarded and they're not going to be pumped up, excited like when they inbound call you, this little segmented, what I'd call an introduction, is what I've been using for, almost 10 years. And I don't care what I'm calling for, who I'm calling, it goes the same way. And so what I hear a lot on the phone, and I don't know if this is the case here, I know you guys have things buttoned up, but at a lot of offices, what I hear and where offices get stuck calling on leads is, one, they don't remember that people are guarded. And so what they do is they verbally vomit the entire introduction on people right from the get-go. And somebody answers the phone and they're like, hello? And they go, hey, Bob, this is Harrison. I'm giving you a call from Hip Orthodontics. I see here that you took some time to request an appointment. So I was just giving you a call to help you get that scheduled. Is now a good time to talk? No, I don't know who you are. And then they hang up the phone, right? And it's not necessarily because they're not interested. It's because they're guarded. And in that first few seconds, they're trying to decide, one, who the heck are you? Two, do I like you? Do I trust you? Why are you calling me? Who are you calling from? And so when we dump all this information on them at once. It's like too much to process. And that's typically when they go, no, this isn't Harrison, or, oh, this is a bad time, or just hang up the phone. So how can we work around that? If you guys put this into practice, the first few times you do it and try it on for size, it's probably going to feel a little awkward in the beginning. Get comfortable with the awkward, right? Luke's heard me say it hundreds of times with our sales guys. There's powerful, powerful things that happen in the pause. And I used to have a tendency, like in these places where I say pause, where I'd try and like fill it with more words. The guy who has the time thing stamped on himself, he said, just get in the habit of putting yourself on mute after you say this, and then you can gibber away until they respond, but they don't hear it. So, like I said, in the beginning, it's going to feel awkward, but tell me if you guys feel a difference when somebody answers, hello. You're like, hey, Alex, this is Harrison. I'm giving you a call from Hip Orthodontics. I see you took some time to do this. I just want to help you do that. Is now a good time to talk? Click. Versus, hey, is this Alex? And they're going to be like, right? Still going to be very guarded, right? But they're going to be like, yeah, like, who the heck are you? And it's like, yeah, hey, Alex, this is just Harrison. I'm giving you a call from Hip Orthodontics.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That's typically how it goes.
I didn't think you'd call.
The teeth guy, right? So what I want you guys to kind of hear, and I'll go through it again, is if you can kind of hear the tonality that I have, it's kind of like this excited, upbeat question mark. I call it skeptically optimistic. Now, I'm not skeptical because of what I'm doing or what I'm offering or what I'm selling. I'm skeptical because I have empathy and I'm giving you empathy and I'm entering your world, and I know that you're skeptical on this random phone number calling me. So I'm very upbeat, but I also put a question mark on the end so you can kind of feel like I'm picking up your vibe. So it's just like, hey, is this Sally? If that feels too awkward, you could say, hey, is this Sally? How's everything going? But just trust me. Just ask their name. Hey, is this Sally? Shut up.
There's also a thing to like a series of yeses. So when someone is agreeing, even if it's not like yes, but they're agreeing.
Oh yeah, this is Sally.
They're buying more into talking to you in this conversation. So it instantly lowers that guard down, and we don't think about it. But in our brain, when we say yes, or yeah, that was me, or yeah, I did request, when we can acknowledge that, we're telling ourselves, oh yeah, I do want to have this conversation.
You're opening the door.
Yeah, Harrison is okay. He is.
And it starts bringing guard down.
Straight smile.
It starts bringing guard down and making a connection. So I don't know, maybe you could role play with me. You can be the skeptical Karen on the other side of the phone.
Sure.
Be nice and guarded. Nice and guarded. So ring, 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 ring.
Hello.
Hey, is this Luke?
Yes.
Hey, Luke, this is just Harrison. I'm giving you a call from Hip Orthodontics.
Okay.
Yeah, Hip Orthodontics. I was just giving you a call because I see here that you had just taken a little bit of your time to request a free consultation with us. Is that right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did do that. My daughter needs, and then from there.
Right, and now there's been a connection, and you can work on this, right? Maybe you can, right? Maybe they came in from Facebook or Instagram or the website, right? Like you can remind them in that third part. But if you notice, there's a little bit of strategy that I'm reminding them the truth. The truth is that you took your time. The fact is there's a reason you did that, and there's strategy in that last part. I was just giving you a call because I see here that you had taken some of your time to do this. Is that right? Oh, yeah, I did do that. Yeah. Right? So, right? And then you're into your new patient call. Okay, cool. I was just giving you a call, try and make things easy and convenient for you to help you get an appointment on the calendar. Do you have a few minutes to chat? And then you're into your new patient call. So like I said, it'll feel awkward in the beginning. Just trust me, trust in the process, try it on for size and see what happens. If you can get through those first 2 awkward pauses, I guarantee you'll have more people open up. I guarantee it. So, yeah. And this is weird. Some people like it, some people don't, but I don't know if you guys picked that up. I always say, this is just Harrison. They don't know who the heck Harrison is, but it's just Harrison.
It's just me.
It's just Harrison. Yeah, it's just Alex giving you a call, Fishbein. I'm talking to everybody like they're my best friend and we've been hanging out for weeks, right? Like people appreciate transparency and authenticity. That's where that like slick talking sales guy comes in. It's like, oh, this is probably not the guy that he is at home. This is like a whole character, right? Like if you guys heard me on calls or in here or hanging out with Luke, like it's just Harrison, you know? So try that on for size. Hopefully it helps. Hopefully it gets more people to lower their guard as you're making outbound calls because they are harder than inbound calls. So hopefully that's some good tools to put in your tool belt. Now, to put it all together with soft words and connecting phrases. If you guys remember the phrases, so that you can, in order to. My favorite one is without having to, which means to you, all right? Guys, this stuff's like so stupidly simple. You might even possibly say this stuff. It's just habit for me. I always possibly maybe are saying something like this, but you guys may be using these things already, but it's like, I think when you have the tools at a conscious level and you understand what kind of behavior or emotions it's driving, I think you can use them even more effectively. So like I said, most of these kinds of things are going to work probably best when you're positioning a same-day start or talking about fees. So these all kind of say the same thing, but something may sound like, so that you can start treatment that same day without having to take more time off work and school, if that might be convenient for you, right? Or in order to save you time, we can actually start treatment that same day, which just means that you won't have to come back for another appointment, if that is possibly more convenient for you, which will just allow you to save time by not needing to come back for another appointment.
It's nice because it doesn't sound like you're just trying to sell, like we just need you in so we can do this and get you started same day. It's like, hey,
I'm doing this for you. Yeah. I'm giving you. I'm serving you. Right? Because that's what we all want to do.
Yes.
Right? That's what we all want to do. We want to serve people. We want to help people. We want people to save time. And so now it's like, man, if that's what we want, hopefully these are some little nuggets in your tool belt where you can always position it in their interest and never, ever, ever get that, negative Nancy's like, oh, they're so pushy on the phone, like,
wow, those people at Fishbein are considerate.
So considerate. They're always trying to save me time. They make it so easy. And all the while in the background, we're same day starting 81% of our cases, right? So hopefully this helps. Is this making sense? Yeah. Does this feel good to you guys? You guys have any thoughts or questions at this point? Because that's what I got as far as my presentation.
Embrace the awkward.
Yeah. Embrace the awkward. Guys, the power of the pause. Power of the pause, I'm telling you. And if you get into a habit where like you pause and you're like wanting to like start like, and how's everything going today? Just use the mute button. I'm telling you, like years ago, like I would literally go like, hey, is this Bob? Dude. And just like not even.
You want to say it just.
Yeah, and I'll be like, and then they're like.
He doesn't hear it, but I said it.
And it used to get to a point I used the mute button and pause so much that like I would forget that I was on mute and I'd start talking, and then I'd have people be like, "Are you still there?" Yeah, and I was like, and I'd unmute and be like, "Oh yeah, sorry, I was just taking some notes to make things easy for you." Right? Exactly. So. I know we went through a lot. I hope this was helpful, but I'd love to open it up to some questions, thoughts, ideas, hash anything out, role play something. What do you guys got? Anything, everything. Bless you.
So when it comes to the leads, like I know whenever it's my class sometimes, I know that we say like we have to give them time, but like how much time is too much, because there's some to where we reach out, we send them emails, multiple texts. It just seems like we're spamming them at this point. So like,
Yeah.
because some of the leads are sent, like the text messages are sent automatically by leads as well. So like, when do we like say, okay, well, we lost this?
I guess when they say stop.
Yeah.
Because there's some
They
that
opt
just don't
out.
answer at all.
They'll come around. I'm telling you, they always come back.
Yeah.
It's just
Pop up every month on that report.
yeah, it's just prioritizing the day, right? Like to me, that first 72 hours of when somebody reaches out, that's like critical crunch time. I want to hit them in the morning. I want to hit them in the afternoon. I want to hit them the next day. After that, I might hit them up once a week, but I never give up. Like we have people that come to HIP, like they've been clicking on our Facebook ads for literally like 2 years. And every time I call them, it's like they don't answer. They don't text me back. We've looked at text chains of like 2 years, like, hey, it's Harrison, just checking in.
Literally, people have been in our wheelhouse like 5 years.
That's nice.
And then one day, we'll just have a conversation.
They're like, okay, I had the confidence to answer when Harrison called.
Yeah.
Another trick you can use is like on your last, say on like day 3, you're about to give up. Alex? ? Just text that to him. First name ?
It works every time.
It almost works every time. And if you think about like you getting that text, if I just text you, what's your name? Michaela ? You'd be like,
Uh-oh, is everything okay?
yeah, who's this? And then you start with this is just Harrison.
It's just Harrison.
Fishbein Orthodontics.
Yeah. I actually should have put that in this slideshow. My favorite message is to follow up with people. Just like we said that we don't want to like verbally vomit everyone on the whole introduction and chunk it out. I see this happen in text messages too. Like people will be doing these follow-up messages and it's these like, hey Alex, this is Harrison. I'm just reaching out from Fishbein again. See if you want to,
Yeah.
right? Like you get that message, you're like, I don't got time for this. Like I'll deal with it later.
Yeah.
My favorite message, I've sent this thousands upon thousands of times. The first follow-up message is, hey there, first name, ! How's everything going, ? That's it. I've gotten more contracts signed from that exact message than I can count. Hey, Dr. Ben, happy Friday. How's everything going? Oh, and like I've sent that 14 times and they'll be like, oh man, thanks so much for following up. Yeah, me and my wife finished talking. We're ready to get started.
I think they think it's like an actual person then at that point.
Mhm.
Right.
Instead
it.
of an automated message.
Yeah.
So they're
This-
more likely
yeah.
to
Talking to them like your best friend.
They're like, oh, it's just a computer sending me a message.
Yeah. I can ignore this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This isn't real.
Yeah.
So when you're texting people, like put that in your phones and copy and paste it. I'm telling you, hey there, first name, ! How is everything going? ? Send that. No response. Wait 2 or 3 days. Send it again. Wait 2 days and then hit them with first name ? I'm dead serious. It's funny is stuff works, right? And that hey there, first name, ! You can dress that up so many different ways. Hey there, Bob. Happy Friday! ! How's everything going? Hey there, Bob. Hope you had a nice weekend! ! How's everything going? Hey there, Bob. Hope you had a good time at baseball practice! ! How's everything going? You guys, it's like Legos, right? But that frame, hey there, how's everything going? Followed up again, first name ? I taught this to an office. They were at Fishbein Fundamentals, all smiles out in Tampa. We've been teaching them this, and I was digging through their conversations, and they've just been firing off first name ? First name ? First name, and they scheduled appointments like this. Because you get that message, and you can see your whole text thread, and you're like, first name ? And you're like, oh shoot, like, most of the time they're like apologetic, like, oh, I'm so sorry, like, the world's ending, whatever. But yes, I want to get scheduled. Keep it simple. There's no need to send these long, calling you to do this. When's a good time? It's too much, right? All we need is a response. That's it. A response is an open window. But if we can't get a response, like, that's it. So if you guys have any questions, encounter any situations, Alex, Brittany, feel free to give everybody my email. I'm happy to help. We can do another call. We can get on Zoom as a team if you guys are like, hey, this is working, but this felt awkward. And I know you record all your calls. So if you guys like have a, maybe a call that like went funky or like, how could this be better? Like tell Alex, let me give the call and we can like break it down together. I do this all the time with offices. We'll throw a live call up. Everybody listens to it, do a live call breakdown. So I'm happy to help any way I can. And then something that I wanted to give you guys, so whatever's most convenient for you, I can either send it to you and you can share with everybody, or you can email me everybody's email and I can share it. But this is something I've worked on for the last, week or two, is pretty much just a cheat sheet of little sound bites and reminders that you can kind of keep in your back pocket. So, the root word of sales and truth, fact, and reality, and how do we lower people's guards, and our soft language, and how do we put that soft language into sentences, and tonality and tempo, and same day starts. This is more for the TC, but still trial closing on new patient calls, which you guys have dialed down. We do it every time. Maybe we can make it even possibly, maybe if it felt appropriate to you, a little softer, So, and then fee questions over the phone, which you guys have nailed down. But this is a document I've been working on. So I'd love to share it with you guys. I actually made you your own copy. So if you want to edit anything or play around or give it to the team as a printout, whatever, I hope it's valuable.
Thanks for listening. If you'd like to learn more about improving your healthcare marketing, day-to-day operations, and standing strong in your market, send us an email at hello@hipcreativeinc.com. That's hello@hipcreativeinc.com. Or jump over to our website at hip.agency.